Is Barbie the movie also a criticism of performative feminism? So I think the film's first big theme is what it's like to grow up as a woman. Barbieland in the beginning isn't ideal feminism. It's a little girl's fantasy. She knows she wants to be powerful and ambitious, but not the complexities that comes with it. So that's what the Barbies know. The Barbies are her. Every dream she has for herself. In a very naive, girls rule and boys drool way. This is why the Kens are less dimensional. She doesn't understand why she needs boys yet, but she may like the attention. So that's what the Kens know. Gloria playing with Barbie reflects that theme, by adding real-world perspective. And throughout the film a little more of the real world is brought to Barbieland. At the end of the film even their idea of feminism has grown up a little, including the Kens more. And our main Barbie did grow into a real woman at the end, ending going to the gyno to represent her maturity and ownership of her womanhood. I think Ken's plot is themed more after gender roles and ideologies. Also how inequality can cause extreme ideologies. Thanks to Barbie, all problems of feminism and equal rights have been solved. I think that was intentional. Barbieland is basically an ivory tower. That was 100% intentional. The movie has many layers. And it ended with the feminist ideal of finding a balance that not only gives women real purpose, but also acknowledges the difficulties men face, and lifts them up as well. Very simply put, yes, that's one of the many things the film addresses. Also, and I'm only slightly joking when I say this, Nietzsche would have likely loved the underlying messages in this film. They're taken straight from his works. Lol. For a mainstream film it was incredibly well written and did an amazing job of hiding the philosophy in plain sight and making the usual complex topics extremely easy to understand. Cinema Therapy just did a video on this movie. I think you'd enjoy it. Look them up on YouTube when you get the chance. No, we just wanted to watch Barbenheimer. I mean, good art is good because it inspires a lot of reflection and debate. I see how we can view the film through this lens. We can view great movies through lots of different lenses. That's why they're worthy art. They have social import. There's no one-size-fits-all point of view that describes any good work of art. Sometimes artists create works that evolve beyond their own ken, and later, they may think or say, wow, did I really say all of that? It's part of what makes art amazing. My English 210 professor used to say, sometimes the monkeys just steal the silverware. This was referring to something one of his own English professors had taught him, referring to a short story he'd written and submitted to The New Yorker back in the early 1980s. The editor asked about the meaning of the scene with the monkeys stealing all the silverware in the house, if it was a societal metaphor, or whatever it was. And the professor wrote back, nope. They're just a bunch of monkeys stealing silverware and causing chaos. Don't read too deeply into it. Point being, art is like clouds. We can see whatever we like in clouds, or in art. That doesn't mean we're on track with what the creator intended. But that doesn't mean our perspectives are wrong. With art, there is no wrong. And creators often create meanings they may not realize themselves while creating their works. Yes, absolutely. I love that it both encourages feminist ideals while also taking on feminism's darker side. That's not quite what I'm trying to say, but struggling to find the more appropriate words. One big point that might be interesting to you as well is that Barbieland is still a patriarchy. Except the roles are reversed. Look up matriarchy societies in our world and they do not behave the same way as a patriarchy. Just With the roles reversed, this is what gives the movie a lot of its magic, because that role reversal keeps the familiar rules. The best character in the whole movie is Alan. He's independent, sensitive, a badass, winner of fights, doesn't follow the rules, and seems to be the only one operating outside of the patriarchy of Barbieland. I would argue that it's still not a balanced world at the end. It's still just the role reversal. Think about women's right to work, to vote, etc., and how many years that took. We wouldn't call back then balanced. And neither is the end of Barbie. I think this is incorrect, mainly because performative feminism describes people, typically men, who express feminist sentiments, but uphold patriarchal structures, policies, etc. They want to be seen as feminist, but don't want to do the work. The Barbies at the opening of the movie aren't performative feminists. They are representations of what anti-feminists think feminism is. Because it's a society where women are dominant over men. Which is not what feminism is. And certainly isn't what performative feminism is. But it is what men's right advocates believe feminism aspires to, because that's what they aspire to. For men, it's opening the movie where anti-feminists think the movie ends. Or viewed another way, it opens with the mirror image of the patriarchal argument. Where women run the world. Men only have value when they attract women's gaze. And women are oblivious to the inequities. It's a powerful technique, because if you try and open with a patriarchal society, it just looks normal to most viewers, even to viewers who don't want it to look normal. By opening with the mirror, it looks wrong, and it's easier to critique why it is wrong. The performative feminism is the Mattel board, proud of their non-gendered bathrooms, thinking it makes them feminists. But no women in the boardroom. It's there in Sasha telling Barbie that the doll has to some setback feminism. Because Barbie was a vehicle for selling consumerism to girls, not empowerment. Because that's what Mattel does. Mattel pushing the doll as a feminist icon. But again, not walking the walk, not addressing real issues related to feminism, because they would be too controversial and hurt sales. So it is there. But I think your analysis is wrong. The reason that Ken is able to brainwash the Barbies is that the Barbies are simply preserving the social structure that the Mattel marketing department set up, not one that they themselves conceived of. So they have no consideration of the Kens, because the marketing department treats the Kens as a Barbie accessory. So they do as well. Because they have no internal philosophy. They are receptive to a different marketing message, which is what Ken provides, call it being overly receptive to propaganda, if you like. It's the Barbies self-actualizing that allows them to resist the propaganda marketing from the Kens. But also from Mattel. They don't return to their old social order. They aspire to an equal society. Barbie isn't a child doll. She's a woman doll. No, because Barbie toy showers literally have no water. The dry showers are not an abstract comment on any higher idea. They are a fun call-out for everyone who loved and played with a fully stocked Barbie set about the joy of beauty and the play luxury of Barbie's world. As a relative oldster by Reddit standards, let me gently say, and maybe others here will echo, that before Instagram etc. beauty, skincare and makeup was just more fun. Before the Kardashians and influencers at all began their grift, beauty had more joy. Younger people sadly have only experienced the now constant grift culture. My grandmother told me of the time when she couldn't have her own credit card without her husband's name on it. When she couldn't get accepted to graduate school for a business degree at 28 because she was married. When even though she had a toddler, she didn't really understand how her own body worked. When all these things finally became possible for her about 10 years later due to feminism, her life was really changed profoundly, and she got an MBA. which at last got her the job she had long wanted. Barbie as a product merely capitalized on these changes. And we all get that despite what the toymakers advertise. It was amazing the toymaker approved that element of comment. Barbie as a movie is an ironic and good-humored examination of middle-class women's joyful, innocent but also naive childhood dreams. How their lives have changed since. How much commercialism and capitalism have accelerated that change. And how certain regressive politics, naive overoptimism, as well as Instagram, social media culture, have debased what was really good about those changes by distorting what empowerment means. From my traditional girl childhood experience, I can't explain or interpret the feelings and worldview of those with traditional boy childhood experience who loved baseball cards and model cars. And I don't try. Instead I listen. Barbie is just the examination of a certain nostalgic middle-class female childhood experience that really doesn't exist any longer. And for the general public, it's aware that as a billion-dollar film it caters to the very commercialism it mocks. And here I was dismissing this movie as another useless live-action remake of an animated movie for children. Well, you got me convinced. I'll watch it when it comes to Netflix. I've never seen this interpretation before, but it's very interesting. You forgot to mention that the Barbies and Ken are played by kids. They are a projection of children playing with them and playing pretend at being adults in their ideal world. Some may know the words, even have a vague idea of a job, but it's all very approximative and shallow. I think it was intentional but also missed the mark a bit in that by the end of the movie the Kens are back to being worthless and it's always one gender over the other, instead of cooperation and equality, which is basically what modern feminism became, and the movie that supposedly criticized it is actually part of the same issue. It's like it is blind to its own mistake while also criticizing those mistakes.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.